Great to see you. Hello, and welcome back to At the Table, the show that asks you to pull out your chairs, get your TTRPG books, and join us at the table. Today, we are discussing humans and fantasy, the human ancestry, half-elves and half-orcs, and kind of, I guess, what it means to be a human. Because we're kind of losing sight of that as people. And also mechanically, what can you do with a human? Spoilers, it's everything. And we're going to go into all that.
Wait, PJ, you forgot one thing, though. You do
What's that?
everything except dark vision.
Oh, yeah. The one dreaded problem of being a human. No dark vision. But who knows? Maybe. We will learn more as we go through this today and also discuss stuff about humanity, TTRPG otherwise. Without further ado, let us get into this, and I will introduce the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Michael Powell. Please tell us who you are and where we can find you on that sweet, sweet internet.
Well, as always, I am the dastardly, dashing Michael Powell, and you can find me all over the internet on my social media, which is at Mr. Kapow. That's MrKapao. And how about you, PJ?
My name is PJ McGaw. You can find me all over the internet at pj.mcgaw, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Come find me. Come friend me. Let's have fun. And without further ado, let's get cracking right into it. Now, if you play a fantasy game, read a fantasy book, watch a fantasy movie, there is one thing that is always consistent and overwhelmingly true. The landscape has more humans in it than anything else. Probably because we are humans. And as a wise person once said, man must see himself in God and the community to believe he exists at all. And this is, I think, universal to all humans. So to see ourselves in fantasy, we must create that in fantasy. We have humans, we now know that we can belong in fantasy. So every setting will generally have a large plethora of humans. As such, they also tend to be like overbreeders, which is hilarious because they usually last, I think, about 2 to 3 times as long as like half of the ancestries.
Yeah.
So let's see what Paizo and Archives of Nethys has to say about a human in your Pathfinder 2E campaign.
I kind of just want to say it makes sense because honestly, humans breed like cockroaches, but also short lifespan, so that's why they need to breed so much. And also, just I guess we go a little bit, at the table after dark. It's fun.
It's fun. Yeah, we do like it. I want to take a quick jump into the chat before we go into the fluff of the human ancestry. I think the one we all take a little for granted in fantasy. Say hello to the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Great to see you back, the Tyrannosaurus Rex. And hello to the Dice Casters. This is your first time in the chat. Thank you so much. Hope you like our talk show and our other shows on this channel. So, hello, newbie. Hello, groovy. What are humans in Pathfinder 2E? Here's fluff. As unpredictable and varied as any of Galarian's peoples, humans have exceptional drive and the capacity to endure and expand. Though many civilizations thrived before humanity rose to prominence, humans have built some of the greatest and most terrible societies throughout the course of history. And today, they are the most populous people in the realms around the inner sea of Galaria. Humans' ambition, versatility, and exceptional potential have led to their status as the world's predominant ancestry. Their empires and nations are vast, sprawling things, and their citizens carve names for themselves with the strength of their sword arms and the power of their spells. Humanity is diverse and tumultuous, running the gamut from nomadic to imperial, sinister to saintly. Many of them virtue forth to explore, to map the expanse of the multiverse, to search for long-lost treasure, or to lead mighty armies to conquer their neighbors for no better reason than because they can. This is the complexity of the human condition. I think we as humans and as human players can understand the kind of terrible beauty and horrifying truth of that we are capable of tremendous, beautiful things, even in fantasy.
Yeah.
And we are also sometimes our own greatest villains.
Hence why, human empires tend to fall far more quickly than the other ancestries in fantasy.
True. And this is kind of an interesting philosophical debate. Consider the dwarves and the elves. They live sometimes 5 to 10 times as long as your most aged human being, and yet their empires usually subsist without blinking an eye for millennia.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to wonder, is that because they themselves are potentially less diverse in opinions and perspectives and ambitions? I might have said ambitions already. Or is it something else? What makes a dwarven civilization, besides its superior architecture, last longer than any human civilization?
I think for me, it honestly goes down to the fact that a dwarf or an elf lives so long. Their philosophy, their personalities, all that stuff tends to, kind of, go on the line, how do I explain it? It's on a baseline. It doesn't really change much. Their likes, dislikes, it tends to just, I guess you could say, kind of does stagnate because of their longer life. While humans, shorter lives, they just kind of jump around and go all over the place. And honestly, one mistake, it just takes one. It just takes one mistake to bring the whole Jenga tower down.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And I think that's something that's kind of interesting. We romanticize the beauty of the human spontaneity, or at least how our timelines can be so diverse within one person's time. And what's fascinating about dwarves and elves, at least how they are depicted, and this is always dangerous because one of the things with TTRPGs and fantasy of TTRPGs is broad spectrum personality.
Yeah.
Painting with a broad brush so that you get an idea as a storyteller and a player what you could expect by either playing or running into this character. Mm-hmm. And the obvious dangers of that are very well known at this point. Whether or not it's meant to be malicious, I can't say. I'm not the people that made it, but I can see from a mechanical point. Something like that. And this kind of goes into, I think, why dwarves and elves work longer, because within this potentially problematic idea of how TTRPG storytelling works is the idea that dwarves and elves work very hard to get to a point where they are cemented. Yeah. And from this point, they will not change because this is the perfect form of their personality, right?
Yeah.
Like dwarves, they always complain about humans. Just by the time you think you know a guy, he's dead.
Yeah.
And it's like, but that's the whole point, right?
I kind of also want to say, if a elf or a dwarf does F up, they're going to have to deal with their mistake for a long ass time.
Absolutely. I mean, and think about it. How much of Lord of the Rings is about elves dealing with their mistakes for thousands of years?
Exactly. Really quick, since you did the fluff, I'm going to do the mechanics, but before we jump into that, I'm going to jump in the chat real quick, okay?
Sure.
I want to say, it looks like the Tyrannosaurus Rex is asking After Dark. That's a show idea we've been bouncing around for a while now. I'm saying we combine that with a hot tub stream.
We have been making some jokes about doing a hot tub stream. I've been making jokes about doing Nat20 After Dark. I think we could definitely do this as a fundraiser, charity thing, or just like a good old fashioned thank you for like checking us out. We'll discuss it because I think that could be a lot of fun.
Also, the Tyrannosaurus Rex also posted, yes, we are so capable in great but potentially devastating ways, and they also agree with me in that an extended life expectancy could result in a different perspective in agendas. Like Rufa's various little schemes. Also, want to say hi to Eric Jackson, who just jumped in chat. Hello!
Hello, Eric Jackson. Woo! And, you are for real.
Oh, and the Tyrannosaurus Rex also posted in Mando voice, "This is the way.
This is the way."
In regards to elf and dwarves stuck in their ways.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the thing. It's interesting how, as a human, if you give us immortality, our perspective would change infinite number of times along that way, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. And I think we're seeing that right now because we live in this really interesting moment where a bunch of payoffs are happening all at once, for better and absolutely for worse.
Yeah.
And with elves and dwarves, they work, and this is just them as an example, they work the exact opposite. They live forever so they can flatten out all of this unknown expectation.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of this one movie that I watched. I want to say kind of a little while back. I'm blanking on the name, but it's basically humanity. Once they reach the age of like 25, they stop aging, but they still have to purchase like time to add on to their lives.
Yeah, it's got Justin Timberlake, if I recall. He's a time thief who arm wrestles for time.
Yeah.
What a concept.
You're probably gonna read what I was gonna read, so you go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna see the Tyrannosaurus Rex likes the hot tub, and Eric Jackson said, in terms of the mechanics of RPGs, being immortal is immaterial. How many PCs die of old age? Very good point. It is rare to have the hero actually retire.
Honestly, like, okay, here's a little peek behind the curtain, and honestly, this also might not happen, but one of these days, we're probably going to we might end up jumping to new characters. And another character concept I had is a character who's basically all the longer living races knows their family. And they have to deal with this guy now. His family's gone. Everybody else knew their family, but they have to deal with this one guy. They don't know, but they know his family. Kind of a legacy type character, you know.
Nice. I'll be looking forward to seeing that. Yeah. So speaking, the Tyrannosaurus Rex said, one of y'all got to cosplay as Geralt in the tub. Hell, if someone can get me the wig and the scar makeup, I'll do it. And I'll just grunt the whole time.
Yeah, I'll just say PJ, and I'll be the bard. I'll just be screaming, and you can toss coins at me.
Bard, shut up, Bard. Anyway.
Oh, Valley of Plenty.
So let's get to the mechanics of being a human. Understanding that humans, real life and in fantasy, are creatures of emotional and mental affectation. They are affected by their society. They try to cover that up, and sometimes they fail. They grow, they fall, they rise. But how do you represent this mechanically? Well, Michael Pat, take it away.
This is the crunchy part. Humans, they start with 8 hit points and medium size, speed of 25 feet, pretty basic. That's pretty much humans, pretty basic. Ability boost, 2 free ability boosts in any stat, and then languages, common, and then additional languages equals to 1 plus your intelligence modifier if it's positive. And you could choose from a list of common languages or any other languages that which your character would have access to, such as languages prevalent in your region. Pretty simple.
Pretty simple. What I always like about humans in all of these games we play is that, like you said, they're basic. But what the thing is, they provide only benefits. They don't have any penalties. You'll notice a lot of the core rulebook will have 2 free boosts, or like one boost that makes sense for your genealogy, 1 boost that makes sense for your interest, and then a penalty because of your genealogy and interests, right? So like elves, they're usually shown as being very waifish, and because of that they're very smart and very graceful, but they're not very sturdy. And I know we have problems with that up and down the block, but what I like about this though is that you're going into it. Take away the physical pretense. Just look at the numbers. It's the kind of the balance of the math, and what this humans present is they don't get a lot of great focused increases. They are a steady template, much like human beings. We're not born with negatives. We're just born with a steady template that we get to change.
Like I said, we're basic. We're the pumpkin spice.
Hey, it's delicious, y'all. I will fight for that PSL.
I'm an apple cider type of guy.
Also good. Look, September is tomorrow, and that means Halloween's around the corner. Now's the time to get your sweater weather together.
Really quick, jumping in the chat. The Tyrannosaurus Rex posted like an unknown Belmont. Yeah, I'm Simon Belmont's second third roommate's best friend, cousin, brother's wife's uncle. What does that make me? Absolutely nothing.
I was just about to say that. You read my mind. Eric Jackson's saying, in GURPS, being immortal was originally super expensive, 100 points. After people realized that didn't have much effect in mechanics, they dropped the price to 10 or 15 points. And that's also very, very valid. Like, if they're like, in some of the things I like about GURPS are really cool, but then a lot of them, you come to a point where, like, what's the actual benefit of this? Oh, but you're immortal. No. Mechanically, unless I work this out with my GM, this is worthless.
Oh, and really quick, before we jump into the human heritages, the Tyrannosaurus Rex is going, ew, pumpkin spice lattes.
Look, I'll say this. I may not like it all day, every day. Sometimes I may hate it, and sometimes I side-eye it, but I will never, ever yuck someone's yum of the PSL. I will allow them that luxury.
Well, anyway, let's jump into heritages, which should be pretty short because we only got 3 to go through. And yeah, PJ, we didn't discuss it, but we're going with that third one from the character guide, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Do you want to kick us off with skilled heritage?
Sure. Skilled heritage. Your ingenuity allows you to train in a wide variety of skills. You become trained in one skill of your choice. At 5th level, you become an expert in that chosen skill. How good is this? So good.
So good.
You want to play the skill monkey? Do it. You get this, high intelligence, and a bard. Everyone can sit down, or in the case of Rufa, an investigator, everyone can sit down because you have too many proficiencies.
Oh, yeah. This
Too
is
damn many.
Honestly, if you're going with a class like Investigator or Rogue, skilled heritage, you're gonna be at least trained in every single skill before level 5.
It's kind of terrifying. Yeah. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think Rufa has only, I want to say, 2 skills he's not trained in.
And hell, you take a feat. Oh, that's actually one of the cool things about Pathfinder 2e. They have that really awesome 3rd level feat that basically means you are, you get your level added to as a bonus to all skills you are not trained in.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're not going to get that dummy thick level plus 8 for a legendary, but you're still getting your level added to something you wouldn't normally have any bonus to.
Oh yeah. By the way, that's untrained proficiency, and it is so good, so good. And actually, yeah, I think that's just a skill feat, which means anybody could take it, I think. Yeah. But anyway, the next one is versatile heritage. Humanity's versatility and ambition have fueled its ascendance to become the most common ancestry in most nations throughout the world. Select a general feat of your choice for which you meet the prereq. As for your ancestry feat, you can select this general feat at any point during character creation. So, a lot like that other system, you basically get a free feat. Free is a very good price.
It's free anything is best anything. And what I love about versatile heritage as a human, GMs, prepare yourself. If someone shows up with a human, 9 times out of 10, this is going to be the heritage. Because no matter what it is you're playing, you benefit from this free general feat. You can get Die Hard. You can get Toughness, get more HP, more tanky. You can get Adopted Ancestry and get more Ancestry feats added to your list. I think there's even another feat that gives you another class feat that only humans can get.
Yeah.
And you're just off to the races, loaded to the brim with feats.
Yeah.
So good.
Like some other great feats are, especially if you're playing on a combat map, Fleet. Fleet is so good. You get a +5 to your movement, or what do you call it? I am blanking on the name of it. It's, I believe, well, it's something. It's something really, really good that it just, for some reason, it has escaped my mind. So let's jump into the next one. PJ, why don't you take a Winter-Touched Human?
The power of winter flows through you. This heritage is most common among the Jadwiga of Irison. That might be something else. Due to their descent from Baba Yaga and certain Urutaki touched by the spirits, you gain cold resistance equal to half your level, minimum 1, and you treat environment cold effects as if they were 1 step less extreme. This is this is kind of nice. This is definitely campaign specific.
Yeah.
If you are playing the I think it's called Reign of Winter, Pathfinder 1 or 2e game, this is a must-have. Get this. If you are not doing that, if you're playing, say, Strength of Thousands in Mwangi Expanse, you might not benefit from this at all.
Yeah. What is it? I do know one of next year's Venture Path is going to be taking place in a like a eternal winter land type of situation. So you're going to be dealing with your character being in the snow pretty much the entire time. So this, if you're playing human, this is something perhaps think about getting.
Absolutely. Also wanted to take a quick second to shout out to the chat because we have another new first timer. What's up? Please correct me if I'm saying the name wrong. Saflorian 417 or is it SA Florian 417? Either way, awesome to have you, and hope you like our chat about what it means to be human. How can we be better human, and how can we play human in D&D? Well, sorry, in Pathfinder 2E.
Yeah, PJ, I was about to just reach through the internet and.
Yeah, that's the problem with the other system. It's like Band-Aid. It's become so synonymous with the whole thing that it becomes the placeholder for the whole thing. Anyway, why don't we move on to the feats that humans get, like humans do?
Why don't I start us off? In fact, the first feat is the feat that I was thinking about earlier. Adopted Cantrip. So, yeah, this is something you want to pick up, especially if you're a spellcaster. Or, what is it? Eldritch Trickster subclass from the Rogue. But anyway, it's a level 1 feat, and the prereq is spellcasting class feature. So you got to be able to cast spells. Through study of multiple magical traditions, you've altered a spell to suit your spellcasting style. Choose one cantrip from a magical tradition other than your own. If you have a spell repertoire or a spell book, replace one of the cantrips you have or have in your spell book with a chosen spell. If you prepare spells without a spell book, if you're a cleric or a druid, for example, one of your cantrips must always be the chosen spell, and you prepare the rest normally. You could cast this cantrip as a spell of your class's tradition. And also, if you swap or retain this cantrip later, you could choose this replacement from the same alternate tradition or a different one.
So, yeah, this is really cool. Cantrips, again, and free cantrips are amazing. Obviously, you're not going to have a cantrip more powerful than like a level 9 pottery or a wish spell, but what makes it so good is that once you get it, it levels up with you. Yeah. And it may not be the most powerful thing you're using, but it will always be effective and reliable. And that's what's great about cantrips, especially compared to like older editions where they were extremely limited in what they could do, both damage and effect. And they stack so much better than that other system where it's like every 7 levels, maybe the dice go up. At some point, cantrips suck in that other game. But in this one, they level up with you. Relevant to the cantrip. It's always good.
Yeah, and this is great where, say you're playing a bard who has access to the occult cantrip, but there's a spell on either, the divine spell list or primal or arcane that you really want that you don't have on your spell list. Adapted cantrip. You can snag it.
Also good, because stack them cantrips, boo-boo, especially if you're a caster. If you want to get 7 a day, get 7 a day, because that means 7 different chances to hurt fools.
I believe, though, this one, you don't get another cantrip. You replace one from another list, right?
Let me double check, because let's see. You can choose one cantrip from a magical tradition other than yours.
It says replace. That's because it says replace one of your cantrip that you know or have. So you
basically allows you to reach into another source of magic and take a cantrip from that. So if you couldn't get Chill Touch and you really want Chill Touch, you can still get it.
Yeah. I'm gonna say I believe the highest raw damage cantrip I want to say is projectile telekinesis. And
telekinetic projectile.
Telekinetic projectile. You can't get it if you're, I believe, a divine spellcaster, but with this you could get it.
Yeah, which is really cool because Divine Lance is super nice in that it, again, reliable range. It has good or negative energy type, which you don't really get good flavored cantrips. But telekinetic projectile does, I think, the most damage, bar none, to one target for a cantrip.
Yeah, raw. But anyway,
Yeah.
PJ, why don't you take the next one, Arcane Tattoos?
Arcane Tattoos. You have tattoos on your body corresponding to one of the ancient Thessalonian schools of magic. That Thessalonians, I believe, are an ancient civilization that has kind of been remodernized, and there's a huge gap to what they were and what they are now. Choose one of the following schools of magic: abjuration, conjuration, enchantment, evocation, illusion, necromancy, or transmutation. You get the associated cantrip with that school of magic. So you get shield for abjuration, tanglefoot for conjuration, enchantment gives you daze, evocation gives you electric arc, illusion gives you a ghost sound, necromancy gives you chill touch, and transmutation gives sigil. You can use this as an arcane spell at will. Once again, free cantrip, best cantrip.
Yeah, exactly. And also, this is great for classes who don't have access to, spell casting.
Yeah, funny story, and I think you probably had it too. When we did the Swashbuckler in the Pathfinder, the Paizo Con online in Europe, the Swashbuckler had the arcane tattoo for electric arc.
Yep.
So as a Swashbuckler who has no magic, you now get a pretty decent cantrip for free. Again, levels up with you.
Yep.
Don't have to worry about anything else.
Yeah, funny story. That's one of the reasons why my character in when we did it with Band of Badgers and Danger Club had that wire wrapped around his steel dagger. So if he needs to channel electric arc into water, that's what he does at a range.
Nice. Why don't you take Cooperative Nature?
Oh, this is so good. FYI, Rufa has this. Cooperative Nature. The short human lifespan leads to perspective and has taught you from a young age to set aside differences and work with others to achieve greatness. You gain a +4 circumstance bonus on checks to aid. So yeah, you really want to make sure your teammate gets that aid. This is what to take. Like I said. Oh, and what it leads to. Ooh, I'm definitely gonna take this for Rufa once we get there.
Now, yeah, and this is what I love, because humans, again, I look at the fluff. Cooperative nature. We're supposed to help each other. It's clear that we don't, but it's kind of in our nature that we're supposed to be doing this. And also, I love bonuses. People often like, well, what's a +4 good for? It's good for shortening your range a little bit. Like, so in order to actually roll a success, plus whatever the bonus is for the skill you're rolling to help aid, you have a bigger window of success by the highest bonus the system allows.
Yeah, y'all wondering how I could get a 30 result without rolling a Nat20? This is how.
It's insane. Next up, Courteous Comeback. This is a free action. Now, to access this, you have to have the Kelishite nationality, but talk with your GM, you might be able to fluff that a bit. Requirements: you are in a settlement or community, and you haven't used Courteous Comeback in this settlement or community within the past month. Trigger: you critically fail a diplomacy check. You grew up in the proud Padishah Empire, where even insults have a certain poetic wit. Re-roll the triggering diplomacy check using the second result. So this is kind of rough, because this gives you effectively a free advantage on a failed diplomacy check, but you can only do it once a month in a city.
And it has to be a critical fail. It can't just regular fail. It has to be a critical fail.
Yeah.
It's situational, I want to say.
It's definitely situational, and it's only level 1, so we really shouldn't expect this to be like super good.
True. But honestly, compare this with the Cooperative Nature. I'm gonna go with Cooperative Nature because you could just spam that.
Yeah, or the free cantrips, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, the next one is something once again very Rufa-like. All the feats are very Rufa-like, actually, that we've gone through so far.
I guess he's the most human of humans. I don't know.
Exactly. It's called Devil's Advocate. And I'm not talking about the type that you find on Facebook groups. Anyway, this is a level 1 feat. To get access to this, you have to be part of a Chessian nationality, but once again, talk to the GM, pretty sure they'll hand wave you. You know more about the habits of devils than is entirely safe. You gain a +2 circumstance bonus to perception checks against devils and saving throws against their abilities. In addition, whenever you meet a devil in a social situation, you can immediately attempt a diplomacy check. Make an impression on that creature rather than needing to converse for 1 minute. You take a -5 penalty to the check. If you fail, you can engage in 1 minute of conversation and attempt a new check at the end of that time rather than accepting the failure or critical failure result. Special. If you have the Glad Hand skill feat, you don't take the penalty to your immediate diplomacy check if the target is a devil. Once again, this is very, very situational because you have to be playing into a, I kind of want to say, very devil-centric game.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense for coming from Cheliax. Having that Chelaxian background makes a lot of sense. Because if you know the Chelaxian lore in Pathfinder and Golarion, essentially, long story short, they are a civilization that instead of trying to rebuke and run away from devils and demons, they have bonded and relied upon them. So, of course, they know everything about devils and demons. And of course, they're familiar with them. They consort with them regularly and habitually. Dragon Spit is the next one. Now, this is the Tiandan ethnicity. And I believe Tiandan is sort of a Chinese proto-fantasy...
Asia-ish.
Asia-ish, yeah. Many Tiandan claim to have dragon blood in their veins, and in your case, this is true. You can spit energy. I just call that a dope freestyle. And you might have an especially visible sign of your draconic heritage. Choose one of the following cantrips: Acid Splash, Electric Arc, Produce Flame, Ray of Frost, the big four. You can cast the spell as an innate arcane spell at will, and when you cast it, the spell's energy emerges from your mouth. So you get a free cantrip, comes from the mouth, and it's an innate spell. So I believe... I have to remember, please, someone correct me. I believe innate spells come off your class DC, or they still are based off of a caster DC. It's class DC, right?
It depends. I think I could be wrong as well. Let's see. I kind of want to say it goes off your. It makes sense. It goes off your class DC, but
yeah. Urban Dragon Dice confirms if it's an innate spell, it does indeed go off the class DC. Because I thought it was class DC, but I think sometimes, Mike, whenever I get the innate spells, I do so on classes that have a caster DC as well. So like Magus champion combo. So let's go to the next one. We had Dragon Spit. Let's go with general training.
Yep, general training. Really quick for that, jumping in the chat. Binary Fireball, hello. Posted a civilization that chills. I think it's Chiliax.
It's not chill. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I do kind of like the idea of, like, instead of civilization, the civilization.
Yeah, like an entire nation of like stoners. Like, dude, just chill, chillax, dude.
Like, bruh, it's the vibe for me, man. You need to, like, put down the sword and pick up the... I don't know if I can say that. We're not going to continue. But let's move on to general training.
This is a level 1 feat. Your adaptability manifests in your mastery of a range of useful abilities. You gain a first level general feat. You must meet the feat's prereqs, but if you select this feat during character creation, you could select the feat later in the process in order to determine which prereq you meet. And special, you can select this feat multiple times, choosing a different feat each time. And there are actually a few general feats I kind of want to say are a little bit of a mixed bag, but they do have some really cool feats like Fleet, Toughness, Cat Ball, stuff like that. And what's really cool about this is you can, if you want, in character creation, you can literally just take this feat and not decide what it's going to be until you actually need it, technically.
Yeah, because the stats for this do say you don't have to have a feat specifically chosen yet. You can take this feat, figure out what your character is capable of, and then figure out what your prereqs are. Which, I mean, I would always kind of argue as a GM, duh, but what's important is still having the language that reflects this, because you never know when someone's going to fight you on something as simple as allowing flexibility with your basic creation stuff.
I also want to say this is super clutch when, you don't expect that your character is going to fall off a cliff, but when they fall off a cliff, you know what? I have cat fall.
Now, it doesn't work like that. You have to do it within the character creation. It's not like on the fly in the game. Oh, I'm taking this feat now. But what is important to note is that with the versatile heritage, this feat, you can come in with 3 general starting feats. 3 of them. That's a lot. I think most people only get 1.
All right. Next up is Gloom Seer.
Gloom Seer is a Nadalese ethnicity prerequisite. So you have to be from Nadal, I believe, is how that term translates. Gloom holds few terrors for you, and the pall of darkness over Nadal has made you comfortable in dim light. You get low light vision.
Humans get low light vision!
Only if you're from Nadal. This will later turn into Dark Seer, so eventually you're going to get dark vision.
But still, I would still want to say humans are, I think, one of the few races that don't start off with low light vision.
Yeah, I think there's a few others that don't. Most get light vision, low light vision, or dark vision fully. I can't recall off the top of my head. I want to say halflings don't get dark vision, but
anyway, really quick, Urban Dragon Dice posted. Innate spells are charisma plus train, even if you're not trained in the spell DC.
Thank you for the clarification. Yes. So class DC or charisma plus trained, even if you're not trained in the spell DC. But that's it. Class level is all that adds onto that. Okay, so yeah, effectively speaking, it's like a charisma-based class level. Okay, or class DC. Okay. So let's take Haughty Obstinacy.
All right. That's a level 1 feat. Your powerful ego makes it harder for others to order you around. If you roll a success on a saving throw against a mental effect that attempts to directly control your actions, you critically succeed instead. If a creature rolls a failure on a check to coerce you using intimidation, it gets a critical failure instead. So it can't try to coerce you again for a week.
And if this is anything, and it's so funny because I know people like this, this is the power of stubbornness. This entire ancestry feat, as humans often are, stubborn beyond the point of reasonable.
I kind of have this as a human.
I try not to have it. It's really hard. I try to fight my stubbornness, try to keep myself open to ideas. But sometimes it's just like, no. And it's hard to say which one's going to win.
Let's jump over the next one with keep up appearances.
Okay, keep up appearances. This is a reaction. This is an uncommon feat. Taldan nationality. Trigger, you are affected by an emotional effect. Taldan pride means you never show weakness. Roll a deception check and compare the result to any observing creature's perception DC. On success, that creature believes you are unaffected by the emotional effect. A creature tricked in this manner can't benefit from the emotional effect and can't use abilities that require you to be under this emotional effect. For example, if you successfully use this ability to trick a will-o-wisp into believing that you aren't under a fear effect, it does not use feed on fear on you. That's really good. It's very tricky because it sounds like it's worthless until you realize the actual mechanical benefit, which is even though you failed your effect and you are taking the effect, the enemy does not benefit from that effect. It's very niche. It's very cool. It's a lot of fluff. It's a lot to juggle.
I kind of want to say this is the fake it till you make it feat.
Yeah, it's definitely a fake it till you make it feat. But it's kind of funny because I kind of feel like I know people like this. Humans, we have shut our emotions off so much that people are like, you're sad. Nope, I'm actually angry, but I'm not showing any emotion. You're happy. Actually, I'm terrified, but I'm used to smiling all the time.
Once again, another feat I kind of have in real life, I believe.
I think the tragedy of every millennial and Gen Z here in post 2021 is that we're all emotionally masking something for someone else's benefit. So I think we all kind of have this feat. As tragic as that is.
All right. Well, the next one is level 1 feat called Know Oneself. I believe I'm taking this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is a reaction. Frequency is once per day. Access is the Vudartini ethnicity?
Vadrani.
The trigger is you roll a critical failure on a saving throw against an emotional effect. You center yourself and call to mind the Vusani monolithic ideals of mindfulness and self-knowledge. You fail to save against an emotion effect instead of critically failing.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. So basically, it's one of those things. I think Urban Dragon Dice was saying how rare it is to have like a feat so early in the game that's like, if you succeed, it's a crit success, and if you critically fail, it's a fail. This kind of works on that. And what's important about this so much in Pathfinder 2e is they've actually gone out of their way to create an awesome chart that shows per spell or spell-like effect what happens on a crit fail, crit success, fail, critical fail. So it is. So each one does matter. Instead of the other game where it's like, oh, I critically failed. Does that do anything? No, homebrew rule, I guess, or the exact opposite.
All right. Why don't you take the next one? I actually really like the next one.
Ooh, the natural ambition. You are raised to be ambitious and always reach for the stars, leading you to progress quickly in your chosen field. Well, what's that like? You gain a first-level class feat of your choice. You must meet the prereqs, but you can select the feat later in the character creation process in order to determine what prereqs you meet. So once again, free feats. You want to come out the gate loaded with possibility and potential, as all humans have. Take this feat. You get more than one first-level, which is also great. Yeah. Sometimes level 1 has a buttload of really good feats or feats needed for other trees later, and it's like, which one do I take?
I kind of want to say this is really good if you're playing a spellcaster, because level 1 spellcasting feats, especially the meta magic feats, really help out.
So much. Or like having more cantrips a day that you can prepare from, or I mean, I'm always kind of on the fence about familiars. I think they're cool, but I just don't feel it. I would also say, more to the point, like fighters, barbarians, champions, druids.
Yeah.
Those level 1 feats are so important because they often kind of create the future for what your character is. And now you get so much more benefit at level 1 for that.
Yeah, it modifies basically your basic attack.
Yeah, I would say it modifies your entire basic build. But of course, with some discrepancies. There's always changes in classes.
All right, next one is natural skill, level 1 feat. Your ingenuity allows you to learn a wide variety of skills. You gain the trained proficiency rank in 2 skills of your choice. Once again, you want to play that skill monkey? Boom.
Yeah, if you're counting at home, natural skill plus the skillful heritage gives you 3 bonus skill proficiencies not related to your background or your class. That means if you take, say, investigator or a bard with a high intelligence and a background that is something else that's diverse, you could come stepping out with, 8, 9, 10, 11. You could have approximately, I'm going to say 12 to 15 skill proficiencies with that combination.
Yeah. Like I said, humans. You want to play a skill monkey? Literally.
Yeah. And rogues, too. It's like you want to stabby and thinky.
Mastermind rogue. Oof.
Yeah. Let's get down to Mastermind rogue. Snap. My brain just thought about that. That is terrifying. Let's do the Quabond next.
All right. That's you, I believe.
Oh, crap.
Yeah.
Look, welcome to At the Table. We're here to have fun. Professionalism is 3rd place. I'm kidding. We're very professional. Quabond. You grew up among the Shoanti tribes, with the spirits watching over you, and they offer you guidance. You gain the trained proficiency rank in the skill listed for your Qua, or Chua. I don't know the racial language.
I'm letting you pronounce that.
I think it's Qua. Let's go with Qua for now. It might be Ka. or another skill of your choice. If you are already trained in that skill, you get the assurance skill feat in that skill as the spirits help guide your actions. Okay, hold up, stop the presses. Not only do you get a free skill proficiency at level 1 that you may or may not already get, but you get assurance in it, meaning you treat it as if you've always rolled a 10 in the die face. Which means if your GM is playing the math right, unless it's a very hard skill that you're doing, you should, in theory, assurance and always succeed at that. Really fast, here's the different tribes of the Shoanti. The Lorun have religion. The Shad or the Shadi have athletics. The Shrakiri have nature. The Shundar have diplomacy. The Sklar have intimidation. the Skoon have medicine. And the Tamir have acrobatics. I played a Shoanti once. I was from the Axe tribe. I think the Axe tribe is the Shadi? The Shade? Shad? Might be the Sklar. Anyway, so this is a really good human feat, especially if you want to come in and go, I am the nature check. Like, I am the athletics check. Solid.
All right. Next up is Salik?
I think it's Salik.
Salik? Okay, Salik astrology. It's one action. Frequency, you can use it 3 times per day, and the access is the Lurgenti nationality?
Lurgeni.
Requirements. You must spend 10 minutes just after your daily preparations examining the sky or consulting a star chart, or you can't use this action that day. So if you're underground, you're effed. The ancient Salik brethren were masters of astrology, and while your knowledge may be but a pale shadow of their wisdom, it still comes in handy. You recall the stars' predictions about your current situation. If your next action requires you to attempt 1 or more skill checks, roll 1d8. On a result of 6, 7, or 8, you gain a +2 circumstance bonus to the first such skill check you attempt. On a 3, 4, or 5, you gain a +1 circumstance bonus. On a 2, you gain nothing. On a 1, you take a -1 circumstance penalty to the skill check. I actually almost took this for Rufa.
You know, it's kind of cool. I dig this. You must spend 10 minutes. I think it's 3 times per day. So you get a fun little buff system that is apropos of no class. You get your own static mechanic for buffing your own skill checks. Now, it's limited, but at level 1, that's still enough to kind of give you an entirely new perspective, a new experience.
Yeah. Really quick, Urban Dragon Dice posted, it's a weird luck feat. Yeah. It really is, but also, it's just, once again, if you want to play a human, but still want that halfling luck trait, this is what to get. And also, another thing I want to say is kind of cool is you get your own kind of little mini bonus game.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. Yeah, it's like it's a free mechanic that doesn't matter what your class is, and you get like up to a +2 for a skill check. Pretty cool. Also, the Urban Dragon Dice saying the Imagine Athletics build that at first level. Yeah, I'm imagining a barbarian of the Shadi clan that has assurance on athletic checks, plus Titan Grappler and all these other fun things. It's disgusting, and I love it. Tupalak Carver. You have a spellcasting class that feature with divine or primal traditions. So druids, clerics, things like that. Access the Urataki ethnicity. You know the truth behind old stories that tell of sending a fetish of bone and sinew to seek vengeance. These old magics allow you to conjure constructs with ease. Add the Summon Construct spell to your spell list. The constructs you summon have a distinct ivory scrimshaw appearance, and if you include a drop of blood, lock of hair, or other portion of a creature's body as part of the spell's material component, the summoned creature gets a +4 bonus to perception checks to sense or locate the creature.
This is really cool.
It's very cool. So you get a free spell, and if you use a spell of a creature you want the construct to like go beat up, it can start tracking it for you.
Yeah.
Level 1, that's really good.
Yeah, it's also really good with that creature is, invisible or what's that one spell where you're jumping to the material plane and the ethereal plane, ethereal jaunt or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Now, what's interesting is that this spell, the Summon Contract spell, does need to be heightened. Because you learn the spell, you can junction it at a higher level and get a higher CR. Right now, at level 1, when you get this, you can only summon a homunculus, which it's something. It's free space. But what's the next one? Let's go with unconventional weaponry.
Yep. Unconventional weaponry, level 1 feat. You familiarize yourself with a particular weapon, potentially from another ancestry or culture. Choose an uncommon, simple, or martial weapon with a trait corresponding to an ancestry, such as dwarf, goblin, or orc, or that is common in another culture. You gain access to that weapon, and for the purposes of determining your proficiency, that weapon is a simple weapon. If you're trained in all martial weapons, you could choose an uncommon advanced weapon with such a trait. You gain access to that weapon, and for the purpose of determining your proficiency, that weapon is a martial weapon. This is really good if you, honestly, it's good if you want to add a bit of that flavor into your character. Like maybe you're playing a human that was raised by dwarves or goblins. This is F you pay me skill.
Absolutely. It's great if you want to play like a gnome or a human barbarian. That's human because we're humans. Human barbarian raised by a group of ogres, and you want to use the ogre hook, which is an insane weapon. Then it's no longer an exotic proficiency weapon. It is, I think in this context, it is a simple weapon. But if you're trained in all martial weapons and you choose an uncommon advanced weapon with such trait, it becomes a martial weapon. Either way, like, you can wield this in your hand.
Yeah.
Although I have to check, because if it's counted as a simple weapon, does that mean as a cleric you'd get the beatific weapon bonus if your god wields it?
Maybe.
Questions. Let's see. Next up, Viking Shield Bearer. You are trained with shields and weapons as soon as you're old enough to hold them. Eager to win honor and glory for yourself, you gain the shield block reaction and are trained in your choice of a battle axe or longsword. I like this because shield block in this system is so much fun. Is it risky? Yes, but it does save a lot of damage from you, the tank or the squishy. And having a battle axe or longsword is a really good, solid weapon. My concern, though, is that there is the Viking archetype. And effectively speaking, the Viking archetype really only gives you, like, shield stuff like this, some basic weapon proficiencies, and maybe, like, a survival checks when you're on a boat and you're navigating. And as underwhelming as that is, this feat almost kind of makes you ask yourself, what's the point? I could just get a sailor background and the shield bearer feat, and I'm a Viking at level 1.
Honestly, the Viking archetype was, I think we did this, or I may have just read ahead, but it was kind of disappointing.
It is, and maybe we'll cover it just kind of like with the Womp Womp episode, the things that are really cool, but unfortunately, Urban Dragon Dice says, get the flick mace, turn full Simon Belmont. Yes, that's a gnomish flick mace, right? Yeah,
or Scorpion Whip.
True.
That's what Rufa basically uses.
With the last level 1 feat, humans get so many level 1 ancestry feats.
Yeah.
Because if you do it right, you can take, like, I think 3 ancestry feats as well.
Well, the next one is called Witch Warden. Level 1 feat, you and your family have fought long hard against witches, particularly the winter witches of Irison?
Yeah, that's right.
And yay! And you've learned to be weary of their curses and the otherworldly powers their patrons grant. You gain a +1 circumstance bonus to saving throws against curses, and to saving throws against spells cast by a witch or hag. If you roll a success on a saving throw against a curse or a spell cast by a witch or hag, you get a critical success instead. Dude, this is actually pretty darn... It's situational, but useful. Because I also want to say, I believe this is the only... I kind of want to say only, at least I know for the only level 1 human feat there is that's specifically protects you from a class, entire class.
Yeah, and let me put this out there right now. If you are doing the Reign of Winter, which in Pathfinder 1 was so good, and I think I've heard some scuttlebutt, they're going to be repackaging it for Pathfinder 2e as well. Get this friggin' background. This in Winter Touched, like it's clear from these human feats, they are readying you for Baba Yaga.
Yeah.
And unless they've already released it, in which case, do it. Also, I want to put it out there. Michael and I have already covered what the Hag Bloodline and the Hag Occult spells can do. Not critically failing on any of those spells is going to be good, because if you critically fail a Hag specific spell, we've talked about them, it's a permanent effect.
Yeah, I kind of want to say it's you know how we say this a lot, the F you pay me feat. This is the F you feat.
This is the you lose, good day, sir feat. Next up, we have the adaptive adept. This is the kind of skill tree or feat tree, if you will, for the adapted cantrip that you potentially got at level 1. So if you have that cantrip and can cast 3rd level spells, which at level 5 you probably should be able to do.
If you're a spellcaster.
If you're a spellcaster. You've continued adapting your magic to blend your class's tradition with your adapted tradition. Choose a cantrip or first level spell from the same magical tradition as your cantrip from adapted cantrip. You gain that spell, adding it to your spell repertoire, spellbook, or prepared spells, just like the cantrip from adapted cantrip. You can cast the spell as a spell of your class's magical tradition. If you choose a first level spell, you don't gain access to the heightened versions of that spell, meaning you can't prepare them if you prepare spells, and you can't learn them or select the spell as a signature spell if you have a spell repertoire. So it's a free level 1 feat. It's kind of like in the other system where like you get the magical adept and you get 2 cantrips and 1 level spell for free that you cast once a day, and it doesn't level up at all.
Yeah.
Adaptive adept is essentially like that.
Yeah. Well, at the very least, it doesn't replace one of the spells you already know. This is, you just get the spell at the very least.
Jumping into chat, Urban Dragon Dice coming in with the knowledge. I love it. The Viking has a few feats that synergistically with Shieldbearer. I guess that synergize with Shieldbearer, since Viking has mostly combat traits. Yes. Please correct me, Urban Dragon Dice. Do they have the shield wall ability feat? Also, he says a healing wizard. Yeah, I think that's kind of the one major benefit of this is that if you take a divine spell, it's now technically an arcane spell.
Yeah.
But you can still cast heal.
Which is actually really, really good.
Oh, heal and harm are the 2 best damn spells in the game. I'll fight you for that.
Yeah. Really quick, next up is another level 5 spell called Clever Improviser. You've learned to handle situations when you're out of your depth. You gain the Untrained Improvisation general feat. In addition, you can attempt skill actions that normally require you to be trained, even if you're untrained. Honestly, Untrained Improvisation, if you're not making a skill monkey, is such a good skill. And then taking this, letting you use any of these skills that require actions for you to be trained in, really nice. It's really nice.
Here's one of the awesome and yet biggest issues with this. All the DCs, ACs, everything levels with you. Yours, the game's, and your enemies. So that means that as you're leveling up your skill proficiencies, the game is leveling up with you. So it always keeps an interesting challenge. That also means that if you don't have proficiency in some skills and you don't take this feat, then those skills that you are not proficient at all in are drastically falling behind the growth of the game. What you are trained in, you're still really good at with the narrative. What you're not trained in, it's going to suck.
Yeah. All right. PJ, why don't you take the next one? It's Dark Seer.
You get dark vision. That's exactly what it does.
Yeah.
You get dark vision. Which as a human is great because you're one of the few ancestries that don't get that. So it's great. We're gonna skip Fey influence because damn it, everyone gets Fey influence.
We're jumping over to Ornate Tattoos. It's a level 5 feat. Prereq Arcane Tattoos. You expand your tattoos to encompass greater magic. Choose a first-level arcane spell from the same school as your arcane tattoos, either a common spell or another to which you have access. You can cast a spell once per day as an innate arcane spell.
So this is really cool. If you are, say, the problem is Arcane is such a good school of magic. There's a lot of carryover. I think maybe Divine is one of the few schools or sources of magic that don't have a lot of crossover. So if you are a tattooed cleric looking like a badass, and there's that really awesome level 1 arcane spell you want, you can get a tattoo of Shocking Grasp.
Yeah.
Which is, now that I think about it, a kick-ass spell for a war priest. Oh my god!
Or also really good if you're anywhere around something like a wet floor.
Oh my god! Absolutely.
Yeah.
Urban Dragon Dice answered my question. Thank you so much. Viking has reactive shield and second shield, basically auto shield plus instant replace of broken on the run. See, that's really cool because I know the shield wall is the big Viking thing, and shield math is fun and crunchy, and then eventually the shield dies and you need to get a new one. So that is actually really cool.
All right. PJ, why don't you take the next one called Sense Allies?
Sense Allies. This is also level 5 feat. Like many humans raised in a close-knit community, remember that, you have always been strongly attuned to the presence of others, willing allies that you are aware of within 60 feet. So mostly, ally NPCs and players that would otherwise be undetected by you are instead hidden from you. The flat check for you to target the willing allies within 60 feet that are hidden from you is a 5 instead of 11. That's much better roll. Now, why would this matter? Great question. Let's say your teammate, the rogue, is sneaking. Let's say the rogue has been hit by a telepathic effect, right? You know, maybe a little metagame, maybe not, the rogue is having a problem, but technically speaking, they are completely undetected to you at this point in time. You are the cleric. You need to cast a spell to help them, but they're undetected. Rules is written, you should have no idea where they are. This still allows you, or massive penalties to help them. This allows you to make those penalties to help your partially invisible rogue, or in this case, undetected rogue, easier to do. I'm going to heal you, even though you're hidden from me. I'm going to cast Restoration on you, even though you're hidden from me. It is an F you pay me feat, and it is very hard to use, but I would imagine it's kind of when it gets pulled, very useful.
Yeah, once again, it is situational, but great when F you pay me.
Speed bulwark, nice. Again in the chat with the stuff for the shield stuff. Requirements are you're wielding a shield. Yeah, I think Urban Dragon Dice is talking about I think the champion and the fighter are the only other classes that get access to the reactive shield ability. So that's very, very useful. But the shield spell has to be cast on your turn, and then I think you can use a reaction after your turn is done, which is why it's a one-action cast.
I kind of want to say Swashbuckler also has some shield abilities because they do have a style that does essentially allows them to use a buckler-type shield.
Yeah, and I think a shield cape, buckler cape, they'll probably do a parrying cape.
Dueling cape. That's what Rufa has that I haven't used in forever. But I have it.
I was like, boo, I wish there was literally any way to make shield spell more useful. Yeah, the shield spell is difficult because it is so good for squishies, but it requires a lot of pre-prep.
Yeah.
If you cast a spell and you only have one action left, go, okay, raise a shield spell, and then reaction, or use the shield spell and then reaction, take that hardness. Spell counts as raise your shield action. Exactly, yes. You cast the spell on your turn. It's not an automatic reaction. You still have to cast the spell, but You get it. Anyway.
Next one is, I believe, our last level 5 feat called Wave Touch Paragon. The prereq is you got to be part of the Banyuwat ethnicity. You have been blessed by the sea, granting you the ability to swim like a fish. You gain a 15-foot swim speed. Special, if you have the Banyuwat Wave Touch background, you could take this feat at first level instead of 5th.
Oh, snap. Okay, that's really cool.
Once again, situational on the game you're playing, because if you're going to be playing a game when you're underground, this might not help you as much, but if you're playing like a seafaring game, this is very helpful.
Yeah, I've definitely seen builds where it's like, I have this awesome build, and it's like, oh, this is the campaign. None of that's going to fit in here.
Talk with your GM. Talk with your GM first.
Talk to the GM. Yeah, Urban Dragon Dice. It is an action spell. That's right. It's one action, cast a spell, reaction to... Well, you know what I'm trying to say. Right. I feel like I'm just kind of beating this death. Next up, Cooperative Soul. This is the 9th level feat that
Rufa has. Yeah, he's gonna get.
100%. You have developed a soul deep bond with your comrades and maintain an even greater degree of cooperation with them. If you are at least an expert in the skill you are aiding, you get a success on any outcome rolled to aid other than a critical success. Even if you fail, you still give them a +1 aid check. Oh my god.
Yep. And let's just say, I believe at level 9 as an investigator, getting an expert in most of your skills would not be that much of a problem.
I don't think so. I have to check your guys' skill progression, but yeah, like by level 9, you should already have at least 2 or 3 experts at that point.
Investigator, I think we pretty much at every level we get a bump in skill.
Yeah. 1 second. Okay, so next up, why don't you read the Dragon Prince?
All right, the Dragon Prince, level 9 feat. Prereq is the Dragon Spit. The blood of the Dragon Kings runs strong in your veins. Your draconic heritage is clearly visible, with hair that is almost entirely crimson, azure, or the like, and that shines like dragon scale. So you have gone full anime. You can cast the Dragon Breath, Sorcerer Bloodline spell, as an innate arcane spell once per day, but you can use only the Dragon Breath that is associated with your heritage that matches the energy type of your Dragon Spit feat at 12th level, and every 3 levels thereafter, the spell is heightened by additional spell level. Yeah, you gone full anime. You got full Zuko anime.
Full what's his name from Fairy Tail? The fire dragon guy. It's the guy.
The main character.
The main character with the red hair. Why am I blanking on his name? His dad is Igneal. Or is he Igneal? Help me out, chat.
I'm looking it up.
While you're saving me from embarrassment, Dragon Breath. What does it do? 2 action spell, 30-foot cone or 60-foot line, depending on your breath. Basic reflex or fortitude save, again, depending on the breath. So let's say you're choosing the produce flame cantrip for the breath thing, right? So that means you would have to be choosing one of the fire breaths. In this case, the dragon breath type would probably be brass dragon or gold, magma, or red. And it would be either a 30-foot cone or a 60-foot line of fire.
By the way,
reflex
PJ,
save.
It's Natsu.
Natsu. That's it. It's Natsu. Mr. Michael Powell, they've added a new dragon to the list of dragons you can be.
Ooh.
So you have your sea dragon, which breathes bludgeoning damage as it's pelting you with high-pressure seawater. You also have the sky dragon, which shoots electricity. You have the sovereign dragon, which does a 30-foot cone of mental damage with a willpower save. You have an umbral damage, which does an umbral dragon, which does a 30-foot cone of negative damage, reflex, and the underworld dragon, which is a 10-foot burst within 30 feet of fire. So you spit the breath out, and it goes, it's like a small fireball.
You know what? Of the new dragons, I'm digging that sovereign, and the sovereign and the what is it? the sea dragon. The crystal dragon is also really cool too.
Crystal dragons are dope. We use them on night witches. Yeah, and Urban Dragon Dice says sea dragon. Oh yeah, that's right. You can be a sea dragon, so you can be a pirate with a sea dragon in your blood, and you're doing bludgeoning damage as opposed to elemental damage, which long term, honestly, may be better as some creatures become downright immune to elemental damage types.
Yeah.
With this being basically magic bludgeoning damage, you're just breathing maces on people, and they can't do anything about it.
I kind of want to say it's basically the bludgeoning damage, and also there's not that many mental immunities to. Is there?
A few. There are some creatures like constructs that have no mind, so you can't hurt their mind, but very rare still. Next up, we have Group Aid. This is another level 9 feat. Your upbringing emphasized teamwork, and helping your allies comes naturally to you. After you aid an ally on a skill check that doesn't have the attack trait, you can also aid any other ally who attempts the same skill check for the same purpose that round. You do so as a free action rather than a reaction. So let me make sure I'm reading this right. After you aid someone, I believe this is supposed to be in combat, that for something that doesn't have an attack trait, like you're lifting something off somebody, you can also aid another ally who attempts the same skill check for the same purpose that round. So if multiple people are like picking locks, multiple people are like breaking or lifting traps or something, you're basically aiding everyone in the party as a free action, one by one.
This is actually really good when you're in a situation where like one half the team has to hold off like enemies and the other half is dealing with like a puzzle or a trap or something like that.
Ooh, they have a great example, and you're not wrong. The preparation you did to help must still apply for all their allies. So big caveat, still has to be applicable. And you can aid each ally only once. For example, if you helped lift an ally, right? So you're giving them aid on an athletics check to scale a wall, you could keep the same posture to give a boost to other allies attempting to scale the wall in the same round. Now this is weird to me because mechanically this is powerful, thematically this is obvious. Like thematically, I feel like if I was playing a level 1 game and someone's like, I'm lifting people up a wall, you could and should be able to do that to at least everyone you can within your physical limitation. This is like high school stuff, right? This is kindergarten stuff.
Yeah.
Now, mechanically, I can see why they'd want to wait till halfway through your character progression to give this to you, because giving free aid to like everyone doing the same check, that's kind of a big deal. But it's like, duh, right?
Yeah.
Like, of course.
Yeah. But anyway, let's jump over to next feat called Hearty Traveler. Level 9 feat. There's no journey too far or burden too heavy when your friends are at your side. That's a song. I know that's a song. Increase your maximum and encumbered bulk limits by 1. In addition, you gain a plus 10-foot circumstance bonus to your speed during overland travel. This is definitely, once again, one of those F you pay me skills. I want to say at least a lot of the GMs that I've encountered kind of just hand wave bulk limits most of the time, unless it's ridiculous. Like, yeah, my character's gonna be lugging around an anvil. Yeah, it's encumbered, but
yeah, and I think, and that's what I kind of like is like, I think a good GM also is, or yeah, GM is also flexible. Don't call bulk in until it's like, no, dude, that's dumb. I'm not going to let you have 20 magical swords on your back at all times. That's too heavy.
Unless you have some magical, like a magical bag of halfling, haversack or something like that. But then, anyway, PJ, why don't you take the next one?
Heir of the Sauk. Heir of the Sauk. So this is the second feat in the feat tree for the Sauk astrology. So in the past, you would have been a proud initiate of the Sauk Brethren. Today, you carry on their legacy. When you use the Sauk astrology, roll 1d4 instead of a d8. On a 1, you take a -1. On any other result, you gain a circumstance bonus of that value. So that means you get a +2, +3, +4 on that skill check. This is a cool.
Yeah.
This is a very good example of risk versus reward, right? Because like on the D8 that we did earlier, you had a much larger range, much larger potential for security with only like one failure and one penalty. Here, you only have a penalty, but you also get more viable successes.
Yeah. Like I said, this is one of those, like if you played Yakuza on Sega, this is one of those mini games that your character is going to end up encountering in that game.
Yeah, I really love this feat as like a little side mechanic that could affect literally anyone, like Heir of the Saok, Rogue, Bard, Investigator, hell, Heir of the Saok champion, and getting bonuses for like athletics and religion checks. Like this is a really fun, cool human feat.
All right, next up is Incredible Improvisation. Level 9 feat, it's free action, frequency once per day, prereq is Clever Improviser. Trigger is you attempt a skill using a check you're untrained in. A stroke of brilliance gives you a major advantage with a skill despite your inexperience. Gain a +4 circumstance bonus to the triggering skill check. So, yeah, if you're going to be using a skill that you're not trained in, you know what? You're getting a +4 to that roll.
Ooh, I love this with a combination of uncanny improvisation because then it's almost as if you're an expert in that skill, even if you're not.
Yeah, it's a dumb luck skill. Dumb luck feat. Your character got really good, really, really, like, oh, I've never picked a lock before. Stick a thing in.
Now it is once per day, but still once per day to have a free expert free expert skill that you're not actually trained in at all is kind of freaking cool.
All right, PJ, why don't you take the next one? Multi-talented.
Multi-talented. Coffee burp. You learn to split your focus between multiple classes with ease. You gain a second level multi-class dedication feat for free, even if you normally couldn't take another dedication feat until you take more feats from your current archetype. If you're a half-elf, you don't need to meet the feat's ability score prereqs. So this is really freaking cool. This is just a free multi-class feat, no matter where you're at with your multi-classing potential.
Yeah, honestly, this is a feat that I'm split between from right now. For Rufa at level 9, this one or the upgraded version of Cooperative Soul.
Yeah, it's a really dope thing, and what I love about how Pathfinder 2e has made the multi-classing system work is, I think, the most fun and freeing, and it's limited. You're not going to be OP, but you're still going to be good, and it kind of defeats the purpose of the hybrid classes that were in 1e, like the Blood Rager, the Arcanist, and all these other people that were like, oh, it's 2 for 1 in a solid build. You don't need that. You just need either a free archetype or the multi-class archetype, and you are a Blood Rager.
Urban Dragon Dice posted, if you use a free archetype, this is bonkers. Oh, totally.
100%. Yeah, could you imagine a half-elf with free archetype, and then they get this at level 10? You're juggling so many classes at that point.
All right, PJ, why don't you... Oh, wait, am I taking the next one, or are you taking the...
That's a good... I think you're getting the Shori Aerialist.
Shori Aerialist, level 9 feat. Prereq is the Garundi,
Maushi, or Tianye.
Ethnicity. Your ancestors hailed from the flying cities of the Shori, and a few simple tricks have come down through the ages to you. You can cast 4th level Fly on yourself as an innate arcane spell once per day. I've said this on the show a number of times. If you're gonna do combat, try to think combat not as a 2D thing. Think of it as a 4D combat situation, because you can attack from below, above, from the side, wherever.
I definitely agree, especially when we're doing like the dogfighting episodes. The dice casters. I was in a meeting for the last hour. What did I miss? So awesome to have you back. I hope that meeting went well. Basically, we've been kind of going over the human ancestries. The bigger meta message here is that humans are meant to work together, be cooperative, be a bigger community. Meant to. But also, mechanically speaking, humans
can cast fly on themselves.
They can cast fly on themselves. They're also just amazing group buffers. They're great at learning skills off the fly and stacking feats to the ceiling. We're now at the level 9 feats. I think we're almost done with level 9 feats.
Last level 9.
Virtue Forged Tattoos. This is the continuation of the tattoo, magic tattoo skill or feat tree. So you have to have Ornate Tattoo before this. Your tattoos are a work of eldritch genius, a masterpiece of art, magic, and skin. Choose a 3rd level arcane spell from the same school as your arcane tattoos, either a common spell or another to which you have access. So common or uncommon or rare spell, that's pretty dope, including a lower level spell, heightened to 3rd level if you wish. You can cast that spell once a day as an innate arcane spell. Here's why this is dope. So, to my knowledge, one of the best scaling arcane spells is Shocking Grasp. It starts off pretty good, and with every level, it just gets better and better and better and better and better. Can you imagine casting a 3rd level Shocking Grasp spell for free? That's like, I want to say 4d12 electric damage. I have to confirm, but just basically you're just dropping like about 48 electrical damage for free once a day.
That's why your character should end up carrying like a ever full water skin on them at all times.
Yes, water shock. Let's see here. Binary Fireball wants the multi-classing crossover abilities. They do kind of get, as Reap Psyche says, shoved in their own subtypes, the base classes.
Anyway,
next up.
I was going to say, we are now on our level 13 feats. I believe I'm taking this one. Advanced General Training. Over the course of venturing your adaptivity. I don't know why I can't say this word right now, but you know what I'm saying. Your
adaptability.
Adaptability, yes. Has let you pick up numerous useful abilities. You gain a general feat of 7th level or lower. You must meet the feat's prereq. Special, you can select this feat multiple times, choosing a different feat each time. This is really good, mainly for the fact that there's actually, at level 7, the general feats gets a little insane. Basically, you're in like the, I kind of want to say, yeah, they get pretty insane. I was just going to say, the level 7 general feats gets pretty insane at level 7.
It gets good. The general feats are very generalized. That's the whole point. So you're starting to get more and more general basics that are just, sturdier. So 10 out of 10, do recommend, especially if you just want a buttload of free feats.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want that? Next up, I think we're on level 13 feats now.
Bounce Back.
With Bounce Back. This is a free action feat. Once per day, you lose the dying condition. So if someone drops your ass, I'm dead, and then someone brings you back, you come back. You recover from near-death experiences with astounding resilience. Don't increase the value of your wounded condition due to losing the dying condition. Now, this is once a day as a free action. And depending on if you have Die Hard, your death range is dying 1 to 4 or dying 5, right? With Die Hard.
Yeah.
So that means the first time you drop, you can use this immediately. So you're not at wounded 1, which means if someone drops you again, which is probably going to happen, you're only still at dying 1, not dying 2.
Yeah. This is essentially, 'tis only a flesh wound feat.
It's the I can do this all day. Looking at Reap Psyche in the chat, talking about the tattoos, like Eldritch Trickster for rogues who want to cast stuff. Honestly, most of the reason to multi-class in current editions of mainstream tabletops is to take advantage of lower level class features. Yeah. Agreed.
All right, the next one is a level 13 feat called Iriseni Ice Witch. Prereq is you gotta be part of the Jawadga ethnicity and also have the Winter Touch human heritage. You can trace your direct descent from one of the Ice Queens of Irisen. and thus from Baba Yaga herself. Your resistance to cold increases to 5 plus half your level, and you can cast 5th level Wall of Ice as an innate arcane spell once per day.
Oh, that's friggin' dope as hell, especially if you're playing Reign of Winter. Because if you get the Winter Touched Heritage, you're already getting you're getting half your level in cold resistance. Now you're getting basically like, what, 3/4 of your level?
Yeah, no, you only gain 5, I believe, if you have the Heritage. This bumps it up to 5 plus...
No, the Heritage gives you, I want to say, cold resistance equal to half. Well, let me confirm. It is
you're right.
Yeah, half your level, minimum
right,
1.
Right.
So now it's half your level plus 5. So if you're level 13 when you get this, that means you now have a level 12 cold resistance. They have a 12 cold resistance. Very good. Yeah. And Wall of Ice is just fun. You get to be
PJ,
May from Overwatch.
Why don't you take a Shadow Pact?
Shadow Pact. Thousands of years ago, your ancestors made a pact with Zon Kuthon. He has not forgotten, even if you might wish he had. You can take 1 damage to mix blood and shadows to cast a 5th level creation as an innate divine spell. You can use this ability as often as you wish, but you can only have 1 such object in existence at a time. If the object encounters bright light, the spell ends, and the object dissolves into shadows.
This is really good. Especially, honestly, at level 13, that 1 damage is not going to matter too much. But the fact is, like, at any situation, as long as it has, you're kind of in somewhat dim lighting, you could create almost any object, any mundane object.
Yeah, because I wanted to say, let me take a look at the level 5 creation spell. It starts off as a 4th level spell. You conjure a temporary object made from eldritch energy. It must be a vegetable matter, meaning like wood, paper, something tactile or text, whatever, and 5 cubic feet or smaller. It can't rely on intricate artistry or complex moving parts, never fulfills a cost or the like. It must be made of precious materials with a rarity of uncommon or higher. It is obviously temporally conjured and thus can't be sold or passed off as a genuine item. If it's a level 5 spell, as is this feat gives you, the item is metal and can include common metals like feldspar or quartz.
Yeah. I want to say investigators have a feat later on where you could basically just say, oh, my character bought such and such for this very occasion. This is somewhat like it, except you just take 1 damage and it could be anything that you need in that certain situation. But anyway, next level 13 feat is called Shori Aerialist. Prereq is Grundy ethnicity. Let's see.
Garundi, Maoshi, Tianye.
Tianye. And also the Shori Aeromancer, or the ability to cast Fly. Unique to the Galarian history, the Shori people have developed fighting styles dedicated to combat in the air. You gain a +2 circumstance bonus to acrobatic checks to maneuver in flight, and a +5 foot bonus, +5 foot status bonus to your fly speed whenever you're traveling via magic.
All right. So great for air combat, maneuverability mostly. But hey, you never know. Maybe you're in a flying city campaign. It could be really dope. You're flying. You don't have to rely on a ship. And there you go.
Honestly, it's any combat. Once again, 5D combat.
Exactly. 5D, time, space.
Yep.
Let's see here. Stubborn persistence. This is the second to last level 13 feat. Humans are renowned for their ability to persist through the most grueling of trials. When you would become fatigued, attempt a DC 17 flat check. On a success, you aren't fatigued. If the fatigued condition has an underlying cause that you don't address, such as a lack of rest, you must attempt the check again at an interval determined by the GM until you fail the flat check or address the underlying cause. So, yeah, you get to keep going, but if you keep being stupid with it, it'll become a problem.
Yeah, this is basically a feat that every artist has when they need to meet their deadline.
Oh god, yeah, this is the Red Bull and prayer feat.
Yep. Anyway, next up is another level 13 feat called Unconventional Expertise. Prereq is unconventional weaponry, and you have to be trained in the weapon you choose for unconventional weaponry. You've continued to advance your powers in using your unconventional weapon. Whenever you gain a class feature that grants you expert or greater proficiency in certain weapons, you also gain that proficiency in the weapon you choose for unconventional weaponry. So, pretty much, your proficiency in that uncommon weapons to scales with you.
Yeah. And I like these. These are nice, but the one problem I always have with it is that while it's great to get expertise or an expert proficiency in a weapon that is very unconventional and kind of fun and niche, it drastically falls behind. This is a level 13 feat, for example. And let's just compare this with, I don't know, the one guy who's good at all the weapons, the fighter. I want to say around 13, if you're not expert already, I think you start off as expert in weapons, you should be getting close to master.
Yeah.
And by this point, while literally any other weapon in the game, every other weapon in the game, you are a master, this one kind of fun niche weapon is only going to be expertise or expert ever. And by like level 19 or 20, you are legendary in all weapons, but not this. So it's like, cool story, bro. I don't think it's worth it long run.
Yeah.
Short term, great. Long term, drop it, pick up a sword.
Yeah. Why don't you take the capstone feat here, PJ?
Heroic Presence. One action, level 17 feet, once per day. The blood of heroes courses through your veins, and you are inspiring your allies to dig deep and find a new level of resolve. You grant up to 10 willing creatures within 30 feet the effects of a 6th level Zealous Conviction. Get back to that in a second. Though the effect automatically ends on a target if you give that target a command that would normally they would find repugnant. And this action has the auditory trait or a visual trait depending on how you inspire your allies. So Zealous Conviction, what is? It's a 2-action spell, 30 feet range, up to 10 willing creatures, duration 10 crazy minutes. You bypass your target's rational minds, instilling them with unshakable conviction and zeal. The targets each gain 12 temporary hit points and a +2 status bonus, excuse me, coffee breath, burp, to will saves against mental effects, as their faith overrides their signals from their own bodies and minds. If you tell a target to do something, it must comply with your request. Though if it would normally find the task repugnant, it can attempt a will save at the end of its turn each round due to the cognitive dissonance. I love that they put in cognitive dissonance. On a success, it ends the spell's effect on itself entirely. Now, Heroic Presence is a 6th level Zealous spell, so you're getting that.
Yeah. Like, honestly, if you're inspiring your companions to charge in to save the day, yeah. But if you're inspiring your companions to charge in to burn out that orphanage or commit cannibalism, no.
I love that. Yeah. What? Hey. Now, what's great about this is Heroic Presence as a feat is once a day. And it basically lets you cast the spell once a day, but it only takes one action to cast a 2-action spell that buffs your entire 10-party team. And it gives them more temp HP. Nothing wrong with temp HP.
Yeah.
But to take a hit.
A little buffer.
What's that?
A little buffer.
Yeah, a little buffer. So Heroic Presence, it's really good. And if it's a free feat at level 17, not a lot of ancestries actually have level 17 feats. So if you are a human, why not pick this up? Be the bastion of your cause.
All right. I believe it's time now to jump into our next human heritage, which is half-elf.
True. We are losing time a little bit, so why don't we do the basic mechanics, and then when we get back to it, we'll dive into the feats and such.
Sure. All right. Let's see here. I believe, okay. A half-elf is born to an elf and a human, or to 2 half-elves. The life of a half-elf can be difficult, often marked by a struggle to fit in. Half-elves don't have their homeland on Golarion or populations of half-elf particularly tied to one another, since they often have very desperate human and elven traditions. Instead, most half-elves attempt to find acceptance in either human or elven settlements. Half-elves often appear primarily human, with subtle pointed ears and a taller stature than most full-blooded humans. Half-elves lack the almost alien eyes of their elf parents, though they do have a natural presence and often a striking beauty that leads many to become artists or entertainers. Despite this innate appeal, many half-elves had the difficulty forming lasting bonds with either humans or elves due to the distance they feel from both peoples as a whole. Half-elves live longer than humans, often reaching an age around 150 years. This causes some of them to fear friendship and romances with humans, knowing that they'll likely outlive their companions. You could create a half-elf character by selecting the half-elf heritage at first level. This gives you access to the elf and half-elf ancestry feats in addition to human and ancestry feats.
One of the things I love kind of looking at about this is that by default, this is what it says on the archives of Nethys. Mm-hmm. By default, half-elves and half-orcs descend from humans, but your GM might allow you to be the offspring of an elf, orc, or different ancestry. Mm-hmm. In these cases, the GM will let you select the half-elf or half-orc heritage as the heritage for this ancestry. So in theory, you could be, putting this out there, an orc elf. So you choose orc as your main ancestry, half-elf as, for lack of a better word, a versatile heritage. And this is something that needs to be stated because having done the research, the half-elf and half-orc heritages were kind of the first unofficial versatile heritages. And how this works thematically and mechanically is if you are a half-elf or a half-orc, you cannot also be an Ifrit. You cannot be a half-orc Ifrit. Now, if you want to, thematically, you can have elf ears and be, a half-elf, but mechanically, you are a human Ifrit or an elf Ifrit. Mm-hmm. And then you would take the versatile heritage effect as such.
I believe you could also be a half-elf with gnomes and halflings, or also goblins, halflings, and dwarves.
Absolutely. Sorry, my brain's just coming up with this half-orc, half-goblin, and it is bonkers. It is bananas.
Basically, it would be like a short half-orc.
Yeah, or I think a hobgoblin orc combo would probably work a little easier, but just some little goblin with jacked shoulders and just just a rage issue.
Basically, jacked up top, but very tiny waist, and they don't do leg day.
Nope, no leg day for those. But yeah, no. So the stuff of half elves is kind of cool. I know they used to have this problem with the lore where half-elves didn't belong to both worlds. They kind of became this in one society held up by one, and then in the other society looked down upon. Humans always put them on a pedestal as the better entity, and elven society always looked down at them as you're half broken. So, but that's old lore. That's kind of mean lore. So I'm glad they changed that.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to do the crunchy bits and then actually 2, 3? You want to say 3, 4? 5, 6, 7. There is 7. I want to say, about 7 feats for half elves to go through.
I'm gonna say, why don't we hold off on the feats till later?
Okay.
Just again for timing. Because we did get a little bit of a late start. But the half-elf human heritage, the ancestry page opens up to the half-elves with the feats that we'll get to another time. But either one of your parents was an elf or both were half-elves, as Michael Powers mentioned. You have pointed ears and other telltale signs of heritage. You gain the elf trait, the half-elf trait, and low light vision. In addition, you can select elf, half-elf, and human feats whenever you get an ancestry feat. So this is really good, again, for feat versatility. And that's one of the great things about being half-elves is that they're just like humans, but way more versatile. So half elves have this amazing potential to pull from 3 feat lists: the human ancestry feat list, the elven ancestry feat list, and when we cover elves, you'll see why that's super cool as well, and things specifically designed just for them. So always fun.
Question: would you say if you're a half elf, half orc, would you be able also to pull from the orc feat list? Would you say?
100%. As a GM call, and if I'm reading this rule as it's written, effectively speaking, you'd be pulling from the elf feats, you'd be pulling from the orc feats, and you'd be pulling from the half elf feats. That is the thing, though. You have to declare what that half is. So if you're like half orc and your primary ancestry was an elf, then you could pull from elf, orc, and half orc. And shout out to Binary Fireballs, since I was just thinking of orc elves and how cool they are. Yeah, that one image of that one badass looking orc elf is still in my brain, and I've been looking at it for a decade.
That might be a possible one-shot character at one point. Maybe.
Yeah. Eric Jackson, work calls, got to see it. See you so much, Eric. Have a great time. We're going to say this now. We are going to be dark tomorrow in solidarity for the walkout on Twitch. We'll go into more details during our wrap-up. But just to let you know, Eric, no show tomorrow night. Can't wait to see you guys next week. In fact, why don't we wrap up the show now? Mr. Michael Powell, how do you feel about that?
Sounds good to me, and we'll come back to a later date, and we'll finish off the half-elf feats and the half-orc stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. Sorry the humans took so dang long. Like everything else they do, humans are full of potential, even if it makes them impossible to figure out and get through all their potential. Well, Mr. Michael Powell, please tell them who you are and where they can find you on the sweet, sweet internet.
Well, as always, you can find me all over the internet on my social medias, which is at Mr. Cabal, that's MRKAPAO, or my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/MichaelPowDoesStuff, because I do a lot of stuff, like my YouTube channel called Fantastic Tales of Adventure. And see, also on Thursdays, you can find me on the Toyzilla Network page for Toyzilla Live at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we talk about toy news and a lot of nostalgia stuff. It's a lot of fun. Hope to see you there.
Absolutely, and can't wait to see you. My name is PJ McGaw. You can find me all over the internet at pj.mcgaw. I saw some of you follow me already. Thank you so much. Come find me, come friend me. Hope we have some fun. When I'm not here with Mr. Michael Powell on Tuesdays, you can find us here on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Edge of Legend. However, tomorrow night we are going dark in solidarity with the Twitch walkout, because we have to stop the hate raids. We have to stop the potential of humanity that is sometimes misguided and malicious, and remind ourselves of the potential of humanity, as we discussed today, that's cooperative, that is excelling in skill and in the community. And we are walking out to show what humans are capable of, which is positive community change. So tomorrow night...
It's just September 1st. Just September 1st.
Like I say, so tomorrow night we are going to be dark. However, starting next week, we're going to be kicking off to our fun St. Jude's charity month-long game, the Firebrand Pirates and the Fire of Life. It is a 4-part heist episode. If you like Ocean's 11 and you like Indiana Jones, you might get a huge kick out of this. It's for charity, for kids, Cancer for Kids, and... for the next 4 weeks, come check out these heroes, play someone entirely new, and we'll have fun. Same time, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And hopefully we have some new and exciting announcements down the road. Can't wait to let you guys know about them.
Come watch me play Monchichi.
Yeah, you're the monkey goblin clown?
Yeah, the monkey goblin clown.
He's amazing. And Ian's thinking about doing a Gripply monk. So if you like Battletoads, we got Battletoads. And more. I think Sydney has said she's going to use like some guns. She got shooty pows. And yeah, let's see where the adventure goes. And then until then, I'll see you same Nat time, same Nat channel here at the table.
Bye.
Bye.